What are you wanting to record? Anything? Just a story, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay. What kind of story do you want? A Ferrella story. Alright. What is she doing?
I'm looking for her wand.
Looking for a wand? Okay, that's a good idea. Let's think. Okay, she's looking for a wand. Let's see. What has happened to her wand?
Someone stole it.
Oh, they stole it. Okay. And she's trying to get it back. Alright. Alright. Once upon a time, there was a fairy named Ferrella, and she had decided she was going to go out and do some yard work. So she grabbed her wand, and she went outside, and she was like, and making the leaves all pile up. And she went over, and she waved the wand, and she made sure that all the flowers were pruned and stuff like that. And let's see, what else should she do with her wand? She got all the leaves and branches off the roof of her house and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, that's great. My yard looks great. I said, I think, though, that I need to get a cup of tea. So she laid her wand down on her picnic table in her backyard, and she walked back in the house to grab her teacup that she had sitting in the microwave. Sit tight.
Thank you.
And when she walked back out, the wand was gone. She's like, where did my wand go? She looked over and she saw Berna out digging in her garden. And she never understood why Berna was always digging in her garden, because Berna didn't actually grow anything in her garden. She was just digging. She liked to dig holes and bury stuff. And she never knew what Berna liked to bury. She's like, I'll bet you anything that nasty old Berna grabbed my wand and she's buried it in her garden. So anyway, Ferrella went over to the fence that separated her yard from Berna's yard. She said, oh, Berna! And Berna snapped her teeth at her. Because, she likes to bite, because she's a vampire fairy.
Not really, man.
But not really. She just likes to bite things. Anyway, Ferrella said, hey, Berna, have you seen my wand? Berna just looked at Ferrella from the side, and she just sort of gave her a nasty little smirk. And Ferrella was like, did you take my wand? Berna said, I'll never tell. Ferrella was like, hey, did you or did you not take my wand? Berna says, that's for me to know and for you to find out. Ferrella's like, that's not very mature. It's very childlike. Berna said, nah, 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 nah. Anyway.
Can you put a human in there?
Put a human in there?
Mm-hmm.
What's the human supposed to do?
The human's supposed to pick up one of the fairies, but then she ties that around with a ribbon. There she wants one.
Well, that has nothing to do with the story, though. Well, anyway, so Ferrella was like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to go get that wand myself out of her garden, because I'm sure she's buried it. So, Ferrella waited until Berna went back in the house, and she snuck over the fence. Well, as she walked over the garden, all of a sudden, a giant hand came down out of the sky and scooped her up. She's like, hey, what do you have going on? She looked up, and she saw this giant human. He grabbed a hold of her and was looking at her. And the human said, oh, look at the fairy. I'm going to play with you. I'm going to squeeze you. I'm going to sit on you. Ferella's like, no, let me go. Well, anyway.
Was it a girl or a boy?
It was a boy because it wasn't too bright.
to a girl.
Okay, it was a girl. She said, "Oh, I'm going to dress you up like a dolly, and I'm going to put all sorts of stinky stuff on you, and put a giant ring around your neck, and a little dress, and make you look like some sort of refugee from Jamboree." So anyway, Ferella's like, "Oh no, I need to get out of this." And she got her legs a going and she got her arms a pumping and she was like, "I'm gonna rip one." Well, sure enough, the human was like, "Ew, you smell like poop," and let go of Ferrella.
But then there's another one.
Another what? Another human?
Another human.
Then doing what?
Trying to get Ferrella. That's her father. That's her mother. Yeah.
Well, anyway, the human child said, "Mommy, I've got a stinky fairy here. I need you to clean it for me." And all of a sudden, Ferrella felt somebody else grab a hold of her before she hit the ground. And she looked up and there was a mommy. The mommy said, "Oh, look at this stinky thing. I think we gotta scrub you." Ferella's like, "No!" And
And she can fly.
well, she couldn't fly away because the human mommy had a hold of her. And
And
she
because
went
she-
over and got a handful of soap and smeared it all over Ferrella and ran her under some water. Ferella's like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." And she was clean, but she was saturated water. And she was like, "Oh man, I'm just all wet and I can't fly now." And the human mommy said, "Okay, here you go, Rachel," and handed Ferrella to Rachel. And Rachel said, "Oh, goody! Now I can dress you up and sit on you and do all sorts of nasty, disgusting things that little girls do to fairies." And Ferella's like, "Oh no!" And I'm all out of farts. I can't get out of this. Well, Rachel proceeded to shove Ferrella in her pocket, but what Rachel forgot was that she had a big hole in her pocket where she had shoved all sorts of toys and it had torn a hole in her pocket. And so Ferrella slid right down her leg to the ground and ran into the bushes. She's like, "Oh my God, I'm finally free of that nasty little kid who's going to sit on me and make me stinky with perfume and stuff." So anyway, Ferrella got back to the garden and she was looking around, and then Verna came out and said, "What are you doing in my garden? Get out of here." And Ferrella says, "I need my wand back." And Verna said, "I don't have your wand." And Ferrella was like, "Are you serious?" Verna's like, "Yes. If I had it, I'd keep it. But I don't have it, so get out of my garden." Ferella's like, "Okay, chill out. All right? Sorry." So anyway, she went back over to the yard and she's like, "Where did my wand go? It was sitting right here on the picnic table." And she was looking at the picnic table and she noticed a big white spot in the middle of her picnic table. She said, "What is that?" She looked at it and it was solid and it looked like it had fallen out of the tree. And she looked up and there was a bird sitting up there. It had big orange eyes and a purple beak.
Yeah, purple bee.
And sticking out of its nest was her wand. She's like, "I know, this bird that pooped on my table, and it took my wand and put it in its nest." So she reached up to grab it. Well, the bird went, pecked at her hand. She's like, "Ow!" She said, "You nasty bird, give me back my wand." The bird went, "Ah!" And Ferella's like, "That is my wand. Give it back." And so she reached up again, but again it pecked at her hand. And she went, "Ouch!" Like, "Ah."
But the wand only obeys.
So she's like, "Okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to get my wand away from that bird?"
Say abracadabra, poofy boo.
She can't use magic because she has to have her wand to do magic.
No. She can say words and then the wand will do what she says.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Well, why do you think the bird wants the wand?
Because it's shiny,
What does it look like?
a star, and
What does a wand usually look like?
star.
No. It looks like what? What? It looks like something you would find in your backyard, right?
Stick.
Yeah. So what do you think?
He thinks it's a stick.
Right. So what do you think she could do to...
Write him a letter.
Do you think birds can read?
Yeah.
Well, they can't read.
It's in their world.
Well, if somebody has something that you want, sometimes you can offer them essentially the equivalent or the same thing.
I know.
Mhm.
She can trade the wand for a stick.
Right. There's a solution. So anyway, Ferella's like, I know. I'll find me a stick that looks just like that wand, and I'll offer it to the bird if it gives me back my wand. So sure enough, she found a stick. She held it up for the bird, and the bird was like, ah, ah. And she said, all right, I'll let you have this stick, but you got to give me that stick. And she pointed at the wand. The bird looked at the wand, looked at the stick, nodded its head. And she's like, okay. So she handed the stick to the bird, and then she reached up, grabbed hold of the wand. The bird just looked at her. She pulled the wand out. The bird took the stick, put it where the wand was. She's like, yay, I got my wand back. And she said, okay, now I need to get that big pile of bird poop off my picnic table. Poof. She made it go away. And she tucked her wand back into her belt. She said, excellent, I'm all good. The end.